Welcome to the BrightWord Books Podcast. BrightWord is a leading platform for diverse storytelling, where voices from all backgrounds can share their unique narratives and connect with readers from around the world. Follow our regular podcast updates, where we strive to foster a literary community that celebrates creativity, inclusivity, and the transformative power of literature. Good afternoon, and welcome to the BrightWord Books Podcast. I'm John Lobb, and I'm delighted to have you with us for another episode. It seems in today's America, whether you're red or blue or somewhere in between, everyone has an opinion about politics, including my guest today, Dr. Daniel Brubaker. Daniel's book is Psychosocial Political Dysfunction of the Republican Party. It is apparent, the doctor says, that the party has lost its way. But why? In this critical analysis, Dr. Brubaker explores why Republicans have had difficulty distinguishing fact from fiction, and why many party leaders continue to spin conspiracy theories and lies. He examines the neuropsychological development of toddlers and explains why and how some Republicans are acting like children. He concludes that some leaders in the Republican Party have antisocial personality disorders. Wow, Dr. Brubaker, welcome back. We're pleased to have you with us.
Great. It's good to be with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for appearing again. And why don't we just dive right in? Since you published the book, have things changed at all with the Republican Party in your estimation?
Well, I think I had a premonition about, I started this about 4 or 5 years ago, and it appears to me that everything's becoming true to what I published or what I started out to write about, things getting worse. I see us moving into fascism at the present time, and it's kind of moving slowly, but a little more rapidly than I'd like to see it.
Wow. Wow. Do you think it's all about personality, the cult of the personality? Do you have any thoughts on what drives the enthusiasm of the MAGA supporters?
Well, I think the MAGA supporters, and I've been saying, I think I said this in the book, uh, in the past they've been probably overshadowed by liberals, and they kept hammering away at their conservatism. But I see it getting worse in terms of uh, the far right conservatism. So, it's getting bad, I think.
You compare the behavior of some Republicans to that of toddlers. And I know some folks watching today may be offended by that characterization. Others will agree with you, but I don't think you mean it simply as a name calling. Can you help us better understand what do you mean about people acting like toddlers?
Well, with opposition defiant disorder, you see that with meltdown in children, temper tantrums, and if you watch the way that they behave when they're in the news in Congress and they're fighting back and forth, the Republicans are very defiant and they want to push their agenda off with power plays to the public. And they want to be very critical. They're very critical against the Democrats and don't seem to want to work together.
And does that play also into the way that a lot of Republicans privately will express concerns about an action or a bill, but when it comes time to vote, they consistently go with the party? They're afraid to step out of line, so to speak. Does that tie in?
I think it ties in. And I think what I wanted to also say is that most of the Republicans that we see today with the MAGAs were more or less white supremacy type people and kind of undercover. Since Trump came along, these people have converged because he's in the same category, I'd say, as they are. And so they found a leader. They found somebody that they adore and fits their agenda, especially with the far right, evangelical, the Christian right, who wants to have our country be totally Christian. they don't see our country as a melting pot. They see it as they want to be all white and get rid of black people, brown people, and anybody else that's different. So that's what I see happening. And if they talk, I hear that they say things differently behind closed doors, but then they act in compliance with what Donald Trump wants them to do. But I don't know how true that is. I think a lot of the Republicans are very evangelical, conservative, and they don't like anything that's intellectual or liberal. And I think that's been going on for a long period of time, even dating back to Nixon.
Wow. So going back a ways.
I see
Interesting.
that, yes.
Interesting. I see that one of your readers on Amazon left a review that the book made them rethink how fear and manipulation drive politics. End quote. Do you see fear continuing to shape the GOP? Are people afraid?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. In fact, I have fear. I have fear of the direction that the government is going, the direction that America is going at the present time. I mean, you take things like vaccinations, for example. They want to get rid of vaccinations, which is that probably one of the top 10 leaders in medicine of preventing disease and even preventing cancer, because hepatitis B, chronic hepatitis B, can cause liver cancer. Papillomavirus can cause liver cancer. And these Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just doesn't get it. I mean, there's a lot of ignorance and stupidity in what's happening with the administration that we have today. And we need to have progress. We need science. We need medicine. We need all these things that move us forward, not backwards. We're going back to the dark ages. The 21st century to me is the dark ages now. And that's just so disturbing to me,
A
especially
lot of
being
people would say we should be better than that. We're better than that.
we are.
You talk about vaccines and vaccines, things like January 6th or voting by mail. A lot of rumors out there, a lot of stories that get started about the dangers of these things that we take for granted. Is that originating out of the same level of fear? Is that why people, even in the face of proof to the contrary, they refuse to believe what's before their eyes?
I think some of it's fear, paranoia. I think a lot of this conspiracy theory business is delusional and may come from delusional disorders that people have that are putting out all these conspiracy theories and all this disinformation. Socrates said that ignorance is evil. But I'm now working on another book that I was just reviewing and researching evil. There's a Lutheran minister in Germany in the 1930s during Hitler, and he was against what was happening there and was in prison, and he wrote letters and published from prison because he was in prison for the last 2 years of his life and actually finally got killed in 1945. But he said that stupidity is worse than evil. And I see a lot of stupidity in this administration.
Do you think it's almost a form of mass mental illness? Is it a condition that a bunch of people are suffering, or is it more than that? Has it taken on a life of its own, or is it hard to say?
Antisocial personality disorders are they say about 3% in the 1 to 3% of the population. I think it's much higher than that. When we see what's happening with these mass killings, what just happened recently or just a few days
Minneapolis.
ago, with another school shooting, mass shooting. That person was probably had an antisocial personality disorder and a lot of
To the
fear, a lot of
extreme, I would
hate.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I see happening, and I think it's more than 3%. I would put it 5-10%. And if you look at the administration, it would fit.
Wow. Does Trump believe in what he says, or is he a manipulator?
Well, being part of antisocial personality disorder is highly manipulative. And then he's also very narcissistic. I don't think he has the intelligence that other people think he has, and that he gets a lot of these conspiracy theories, thinking about things that are just irrational. And well, let me go back to this with chronic pathological lying, which he's a chronic pathological liar. I think he probably lies on an average of about half a dozen times an hour or more. These people fantasize and believe their lies. So he's kind of in that position where he's forcing his theories and his ideas out into the public, and he's a reality show a person. He's not a president of the United States.
A term you use in the book is the psychology of crowds. I assume you're saying that's what we're seeing in action is the psychology of crowds. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
yes, and and like I said, I think a little bit earlier that there's this convergence. There's a convergence crowd theory where I think a lot of these alt right and evangelical right were kind of undercover. Once they saw him as a leader, they all converged as a crowd onto him as the leader.
And does that play into another term you use is that of identity addiction, where voters cling to party labels regardless of the facts, regardless of outcomes. Is that all tied together?
Yes, yeah, that's also tied together for sure.
Another guest I had on a couple months ago mentioned that they were aware that the average lifespan of a democracy is 240 years. And he proposed that we were approaching 250 and that in essence, our democracy has run its course. I and a lot of other people, I'm sure you as well, feel like you hope that is not the case. But it seems like scary times, doesn't it? Where the thought of the democracy not going much longer becomes all of a sudden a horrible reality.
It does feel like that. There's a lot of anxiety in America today from what people see happening with our administration. I read some years ago that over 200 years it wouldn't last, but you're saying 240.
Well, 200 would be even more scary, wouldn't it? That we're on even more borrowed time.
It would be. But I I think the citizens of the United States, the Americans, are mounting up with wings of eagles to counteract this behavior.
Okay, so you are hopeful.
I am hopeful. I think. Well, here's one of the things that I'm doing. I was a Republican all my life, over 57 years, and I just decided I'm going to join the Democratic Party.
Wow, big decision.
And if everybody who's Republican, or if there's a large number of people who are Republicans become Democrats, then what can the Republican Party do? My sister was a lifelong Republican. She's no longer voting Democrat. She's 8 years older than I am, so she's not going to become a Democrat. She's been voting Democrat, never did before. So
Wow.
if Republicans get smart about all this business, then we can probably change the Republican Party.
Wow. And you say that as a Republican who was a proud member for many, many years.
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't take that decision lightly to make that switch.
No, but I don't want to be a part. I don't want to be a part of what I see as, this is a strong word, but I do see it as evil. And the Republicans always use that word against the Democrats, but they use it only because they want to do fear mongering. If you really look at what evil is, the Republican Party is doing just that. They're obstructionists. They're destroying everything that America stands for.
It's scary times. Absolutely. Absolutely. If Donald Trump steps down or is voted out or at some point passes away, does his movement die with him, or do you think it has a life of its own?
I think it now has a life of its own, which is even more scary to me. I mean, look at the vice president. He's even almost scarier than Donald Trump with some of the things that he's been representing and promoting. Now, I don't think the party's ever going to go back to the grand old party. And the grand old party was really pretty liberal. It was, I would say, they use this word woke against liberals right now. That's like a common thing to use that word just for fear mongering. Well, when you look at the definition of woke, look at it. There's a definition in the dictionaries. It means social justice and racial justice. Doesn't say whether you're a Democrat or Republican. You can be either one and believe in social justice and
As a human being? Yep.
as a human being. Yeah. So the Republican Party was woke when it began because look what happened. The Civil War, that was pretty woke. Republicans were totally against slavery that was going on.
Absolutely. There are some who will say that the Democratic Party is deer in the headlights, like nobody seems to know who's going to step up to lead and what they can do about it. Do you wish that either the Democrats or independents or someone had, say, a Project 2028 for plotting out, how we're going to heal the country if we ever have a switch in leadership?
That would be absolutely fantastic. Yes, something like that should happen. That's a great idea. I haven't thought about that, but you're right. We should have something like that because we got to flip this around. Everything that the Democrats really stand for is what I describe in the book as utilitarian, which is the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So things like Social Security is good for people. Things like Medicare and healthcare is good for people. All these things are what the Democrats have been promoting, and the Republicans are tearing it down, destroying it. And sooner or later, everybody is going to fight back, I hope, to stop all this. And you're right. If the Democrats would do something like this, I think it would be fantastic.
Interesting. Switching gears a little bit, Doctor, do you find that too many people these days in America are hoping that there's a pill for however they're feeling or whatever they're trying to deal with? Do too many people turn to pills instead of counseling as a solution?
Well, I'm not a counselor. I actually do general medicine and I do medical legal medicine. Psychology, philosophy, religion, all that's my hobby. But
Okay.
what I do is medicine. And yeah, I think, well, studies have showed that a combination of medications and therapy is the best. I promote therapy. In fact, my wife and I have done marriage counseling. I just heard something the other day that the divorce rate is going up 50% or in 50-year-old and older because of menopause. I thought,
Wow.
wow, that's amazing.
It is.
So we do need medications, but if you can get a good therapist, I can tell you, with my own experience, it really does help. It really does help.
Good to know. Doctor, what is next for you? You mentioned maybe another book. Are you working on a new essay or a new volume?
I am working on another book and I'm almost finished with it. It's called A Philosophical Critique of Morality and Immorality in Religion.
Wow, no light topic there.
So I really tore through all the different religions and looked at what they represent in terms of moral values, and then also looked in terms of the hypocrisy related to it with immorality.
Wow.
So
So
it's
not some light reading for the beach day, in other words.
no, I'm reaching the end of my life, and I guess that might be a reason I'm doing all this. I don't know, but just to let you know, I have glaucoma and I have impaired vision, and I used to do a lot of things like mountain biking and downhill skiing. Even in Washington, Idaho, I think you're in Vancouver.
Yes,
I
sir.
used, I used to ski all over the West Coast and the Rockies. Rock climbed, ice climbed, did all that business. And now that I lost my vision more, I can't do any of those things. So I started writing. So that's been my hobby now.
Good for you. You've given up maybe a little bit of the physical exercise, but have jumped into the mental exercise. We're really glad you did.
Thank you.
Doctor, it's been a wonderful visit with you, and I hope when your next book comes out that you'll come back and visit with us again. Love to talk more about what you're working on and spend some more time with you.
Great. I'd love to do it.
Excellent. We've been talking with Dr. Daniel Brubaker, author of Psychological Political Dysfunction of the Republican Party. And I think, again, no matter what party you belong to, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, it's sure to have something of interest to all Americans. And I assume it's available on Amazon and everywhere else fine books are available.
It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I don't think you'll find it in bookstores yet, but we're
Okay.
working on that.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that. Thank you, sir. It's been a wonderful discussion. And thank you all for tuning in today for the latest episode of the BrightWord Books Podcast. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. You've been listening to the BrightWord Books Podcast, home of the literary community that celebrates creativity, inclusivity, and the transformative power of literature. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss future episodes. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.